rise with the sun. Step 2, get some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you want to be. Step 4.
Well, happy hump day to my beautiful coffee beans. Why in the world are we up so darn early? Well, folks, we've got a lot to go over in the Nancy Guthrie case, and we're probably going to be doing 3 or 4 lives today on different talking points. Right now, we're hearing that there is a possible sighting of Nancy Guthrie in Mexico.
Set your affirmations, aspirations. I got shit to do, the aftermath of preparation. Good food, good mood, blood in circulation. One step at a time, yeah, that's how you make it. Set a goal you control and the steps you take them. I try to pick one thought, have some concentration. And if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day, call it replication. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 So life ain't easy, yo, I think there's a reason though. Ups and downs, just like every different season, yo. Sometimes I'm high, other times I'm barely breathing, though. I always gotta fight and hide from the demons, yo. Negative thoughts are poison, they rot. Head full of flaws, so here come the clouds. They'll never stop unless I can swap all the bad for the good in my head when I'm lost. Yeah, so I'ma fake it till I make it. Positive thoughts are overtaken, I got patience. One day at a time is how you operate a cadence. A flow, you grow, you show yourself a foundation. Stay away from all the shit that causes temptation. I know that I like to do it cause it's sensation. I live my life in my head like a narration. Don't expect greatness, do my best, man, I'll take it. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Wake up, really gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you want to be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Bullhorn Betty, and we cover the case of Nancy Guthrie. Will we ever know what happened to Nancy Guthrie? That is the question that's hanging over this case this morning.
From the East Coast to the West Coast, we are everywhere true crime is. We are asking for the public's help. We are searching in the woods. We are doing what it takes here on the Bullhorn Betty channels to find answers to the most alarming cases we have been watching on the news. I can tell you personally that I have traveled this entire country seeking these answers and bringing that content right here to you here on the Bullhorn Betty channels and Bullhorn Betty Crime Stories. We are happy with the work that we've done. We brought many answers to the public, and we have defied mainstream media in our pursuit of the truth in these cases. We will continue to work, we will continue to fight for these victims, and we will continue to tell their stories here on my channels. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty brand of channels and the Coffee Club. Thank you for your love, thank you for your support, and more importantly, thank you for allowing me to bring these victims' stories to each and every one of you, advocating for each of these victims. God bless you. God bless America, and more importantly, God bless our victims.
An 84-year-old grandmother, a woman of faith, a mother of one of the most recognizable journalists in America, vanishes from her own bed in an upscale Arizona neighborhood. And a month later, with hundreds of investigators, DNA, video, detainments, and a cleared family, we are no closer to the truth than we were on day one. An empty house, a trail of blood by the front door, a missing doorbell camera, and a family that went from suspected to officially cleared in just over 2 weeks. This is the story of Nancy Guthrie, and this morning we're asking a hard question. Will we ever know what happened to her? Because if law enforcement, the FBI, 400 investigators working around the clock, surveillance video, detainments, DNA, and a 7-figure reward can't crack this, what does this say about justice for Nancy or her family? Let's go back to the beginning. Late on the night of January 31st, Nancy is dropped off at her home in the Catalina foothills after a family dinner. Her son-in-law, Tommaso Cioni, is the last person to see her alive, watching her walk into her home. The next morning, she doesn't show up to church. This is not a woman who just forgets Sunday service. Friends noticed. They called the family. The family goes by the house. What they find changes everything. Nancy is gone, but her car, wallet, phone, and medication still inside the home. The question is, what other evidence was inside the home? Outside, near the entry, there is blood, later confirmed to be hers, and the doorbell camera that should have been recording the last moments at her front door has been removed. In a matter of hours, her home goes from a sanctuary to a crime scene. From almost the very beginning, homicide investigators are called in, a rare move when you don't have a body. Even if the words homicide isn't in the press release, it's already in the room. In any disappearance, investigators start with the last person to see the victim alive. In Nancy's case, that's her son-in-law, Tommaso. He dropped her off at the house. He's on camera with her. He knows her routine. Rumors ignite online almost immediately. Is the son-in-law the prime suspect? Social media and comment sections treat him like a de facto person of interest long before any officials say it out loud. For days, the family in that awful gray zone, technically not ruled out. Every move they make is picked apart. Why did they say this? Why did they say that? Why is he so quiet? Why isn't he in the video? Why is she emotional here and composed there? Then comes the turning point. On February 16th, the staff finally draws a line. He issues a statement saying in plain language that the entire Guthrie family, including all siblings and their spouses, have been cleared as possible suspects. To be clear, he said, the Guthrie family, to include all siblings and spouse, have been cleared as possible suspects in the case. The family has been nothing but cooperative and gracious in our victims in this case. That includes Tommaso Cioni, specifically named in some coverage as having been ruled out despite the earlier conjecture about his involvement. So the internet had its suspect, and the sheriff just took him away. If this wasn't a family job, if Tommaso and everyone else are victims, not villains, then who walked up to that door, removed that camera, and took Nancy out of her bed that night? As the search ramps up, investigators recover video, a masked person, armed, in a jacket, moving near Nancy's home. Still images go out nationwide. This is the moment everyone thinks, we've got him. Within hours, a man in Rio Rico, later identified in media interview as Carlos, is detained during a stop. He says agents showed his in-laws picture of a masked figure and said the eyes look like his. He is questioned, his property is searched, and then he's released. No charges, no public accusation. Law enforcement won't even confirm his name. And analysis tell local outlet what they really mean. Either they don't think he's the guy, or they have nothing that will hold up in court. He's not the only one. Multiple persons of interest have been detained, questioned, or searched, and then have walked away free. A veteran FBI agent describes it bluntly: 400 investigators, 24/7 operation, DNA recovered at the scene, weeks of leads, and still no suspect. CODIS comes back with no match. No vehicle is definitively tied to the abduction. The trail that looked hot goes ice cold. A reporter standing outside the quiet house calls the atmosphere haunting. Media trucks, nervous neighbors, an ever-present sense of something terrible, and yet an unsettling stillness as meaningful updates dry up. This is the part of the movie where the big break is supposed to come, the dramatic arrest, the perp walk, but this isn't a movie. The detainments led nowhere. The DNA matches no one, and Nancy is still gone. Behind the scenes, operations are shifting from hundreds of agents to a smaller, long-term task force. The helicopters go away, the search grid shrinks, the national push alert slows down. Forensic experts warn that the key evidence might not be the obvious blood or fingerprint, but a hair, a fiber, an overlooked trace that has to be cobbled together with everything else to move the case forward. That is slow, painstaking work, and there's no guarantee it will ever be enough. Commentators who have been there on the ground are starting to say the unthinkable out loud. This may become one of those cases that never gets solved, despite everything poured into it. This morning, Nancy Guthrie's family has been cleared. The earlier person of interest is living his life again. The man detained after the mass suspect image was sent home. The DNA found at the scene belongs to someone who doesn't show up in any database we know about. And an 84-year-old grandmother is still missing from a house that should have been the safest place in her world. So I'm going to ask the question that nobody in authority wants to put on record. Will we ever know what happened to Nancy Guthrie? Is this a case that ends with an arrest, a trial, and answers? Or is this going to be another file in a cabinet, unsolved, unexplained, and forgettable only to the people who loved her? Over the next 2 hours, we're going to walk through every twist and turn you haven't been told, every theory experts are quietly talking about, and the decisions by investigators, by the media, and by all of us online that will decide whether Nancy's story ends with justice or with silence, like the Sebastian Rogers case. Well, good morning to my beautiful coffee clubbers. We are coming live this morning, much earlier than we usually do on a Wednesday. This is Hump Day. We're usually starting our first show out around 8 or 9 a.m. in the morning. This one's coming at 6:23, and that's after our intro. So, guys, I appreciate you all being here. We've got a lot to cover today. The first thing we're going to be covering is the sighting. Nancy Guthrie is an 84-year-old grandmother that was ripped out of her bed in the middle of the night by a masked gunman in her upscale neighborhood in the Catalina foothills of Tucson, Arizona. She has a beautiful home, a beautiful family, and a beautiful life, and it was all snuffed away on February 1st, 2026, in the middle of the night. And since then, we have been scratching our heads and searching the earth to find out what happened to Nancy Guthrie. And today, we have no answers. We have no vehicle. We are hearing of no suspects. We've had 3 people counting Tommaso, that have come under fire related to this case. Tommaso, Carlos, and Luke. We've been discussing Luke, and we've discussed Tommaso. We've never really went into Carlos too much because it appeared that Carlos on the face was swept up into something, potentially, because we still don't know what we're dealing with here. And we're all starting to see a development that appears to be concerted, coordinated. It appears that there might be or could be multiple people, a conspiracy. We know and have learned that this woman appears to have been stalked prior to this. We're also hearing by I don't even know what you want to call, I don't want to be disrespectful. I don't want to say he's a lunatic. I don't want to say, use those types of words because I don't think that's fair. But there was somebody that came up to the camera that was, saying that this was supposed to be another house. They hit the wrong house, which kind of blew us like for a loop. I mean, or threw us for a loop rather. I mean, we were kind of sitting there, and then all of a sudden this guy comes up and starts talking all this stuff on camera out in front of Nancy Guthrie's house. We none the wiser. And now I'm coming in here and I'm listening to this and I'm hearing that there's a possible sighting in Mexico. We reported weeks ago that Mexico was cleared, that we heard from the FBI. They're not even looking in Mexico. And so many of you guys said, well, I don't know why they wouldn't be looking in Mexico. And I'm like, well, obviously it didn't go to Mexico. I don't know. I'm from Florida. Right? I'm from Florida. I don't know why, right? Well, now we're going to be talking about this sighting potentially in Mexico, which many of you guys said, pump the brakes, sister. We don't need to be going to removing Mexico. How can they remove Mexico? Even Brian Enton, when they removed Mexico, went over to Mexico. He wanted to find out what in the world was going on. Is there a possibility of her being in Mexico? And what he found out, what he reported, was hardly anybody knew that this lady was missing. Maybe he sparked some curiosity in the case by being there. Maybe people started looking and people are starting to say, hey, we have a sighting in Mexico. Now, is this part of this bogus ransoms? I need to have this, $70,000 in cryptocurrency. Maybe. Potentially. But we all do acknowledge and admit that there is something in Mexico that we feel they dismissed too soon. Why did they dismiss Mexico? It's only, 60 miles away from Nancy Guthrie's house? I mean, everything we're learning here appears to be very much coordinated. How do we know they didn't have a safe house over there in Mexico and are getting her medication for her heart? How do we know this lady is not still alive? How do we know these things are not existing in this case? I mean, we don't know any information, allegedly, and in my opinion, law enforcement's not really. I mean, I've gotten one notification from. Let me go over this. I'll tell you what I got. I got literally one notification from Pima County Sheriff since I've been on this list, and it was after I, threatened. And so what is being reported is that somebody has learned that I guess they were reviewing the sheriff's CV or resume. And apparently the Pima County Sheriff's Department recently identified 2 clerical errors in Sheriff Chris Nano's publicly posted resume. Both date discrepancy were administrative in nature and were not intended to mislead or misrepresent Sheriff Nano's work history. To clarify, Sheriff Nano served with El Paso Police Department from 1976 to 1982. His service with El Paso PD concluded in 1992, not 1994, so he gave him an extra 2 years on the force, as previously stated. And additionally, Sheriff Nanos was promoted to rank of captain in 2007, not 2009. So he seems to be off just a couple years. So it sounds like he was serving as captain 2 years longer than what he stated. So it does sound like it was administrative. But just in case. I don't think any of that really helped him too much because I heard the first ransom note came from a truck stop near Nogales. Interesting. All right, guys. Well, this is the part of the morning I'm going to slow it up. I'm going to say good morning to all the people that have made comments in the chat. This might take just a few moments. So if you guys would like to get some beverages, please consider some beverages. We also do these things of, 5 cards for $5. Today is going to be 2 decks of religious cards. 2 decks of religious. If you're a religious being and you want 5 cards, today would be your day. I'm breaking the cards up because it just became too much. We got a lot of different decks of cards here, and I figured we'll let you know which day you are and if you want to be inspired or want to hear some good stuff. And then, of course, we have some spunky stuff, inner blessed peace. If you guys know, I substitute the every now and again, I like saying the F-bomb. Just because I like saying the F-bomb makes me feel good. I don't know why, but it does, And so other times I say blessed, right? I don't know why I do the things I do. I just do. And if you guys are wondering, this is day 3 of my hair not being washed. I think it looks great. I think the detox has been working really, really, really amazing, day 3. And I'm actually going to make it until day 4 before I have to wash my hair again. So I kind of like it. I'm really enjoying. Once I make sure that all of this stays and my tips and stuff stay not dry anymore and they're nice and stay soft. I'll give you guys, because I only bought like $20 worth of stuff, and this stuff is going to last me for like 6 months. And I think everybody can afford $20 for their hair. And I'll go through all of the stuff that I'm purchasing for my hair. If you have coarse hair, don't listen to me. Okay, if you got coarse hair, nothing I tell you is going to help you. You actually got the best kind of hair. You could probably go a week without washing it. I've got very, very fine hair. I don't know. You can't even see how fine my hair is. I've got a lot of hair, but my actual hair is very fine. So the strands of my hair are very, very, very fine. Just a lot of strands of hair. That's all there is to it. And so mine is fine to medium hair. And I have to buy products for fine hair because fine hair you can weight down. And that was the biggest problem. Anyways, we'll get to that another day. We're talking about Nancy Guthrie. We're talking about the sighting. And I'm going to say good morning to you. And then we'll get back into all the information that I have that you need to know. Eeyore, it's nice to see you. Let them 66. Michelle, hey love. Tell your sissy I said hi. Hey sissy. Hey sissy. Teresa, it's nice to see you. Lisa B always. Honey babe, it's nice to see you. Amanda, good morning loves. I hope you're doing well. Texas woman, it's nice to see you. Mama, Linda, good morning ladies. Vicky is up in the house. German Shepherd Mom, well, good morning, love. I hope you are doing well this morning. Who else do we have? Brandon. Well, hello, my love. I hope you are doing well. Good morning. Happy Hump Day. Grandma Ladybug, good morning. And you're more than welcome to use caps. We appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Vicky, I think I said hi to you. I said hi to you. I said hi to you. It's nice to see you guys. Jay, Alexander, it's nice. Good morning. It's nice to see you. Mike is up in the house. Good morning. Scriptalua. I'm sure I missed it. Thank you. Everybody, don't follow Script's lead here. Don't forget to like these streams. You guys see me down here, over here in this corner, over here in the morning. I say hi to you guys. I'm like, hey. It's because I'm bebopping back here, because I like my music. I like my music. It wakes me up. I like it. It makes me happy. Makes me happy. Downey, it's nice to see you. Good morning. Good morning. I said hi to you, Brandon. Nana of 2, it's nice to see you. Da Boss Bish, it's nice to see you. Good morning. True Crime Justice. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's nice to see you. It's nice to see you. Script Yard, it looks like. Gang or cartel abduction. It could be, but I still think they were paid and they're hired. Who hired them? I don't see the gang and cartel going and abducting grandmas. I mean, I'm sorry, I just don't. Listen, if I didn't have a former life where I was around some really rotten people from, literally cartel and mafioso, okay? I was around, and bikers. I was around a lot of people in my former life, and I'm telling you, they will beat the shit out of each other and put the fear of God in one another, but they don't screw with their families. They don't screw unless they're. I mean, there's some Mexican stuff out there, but I wasn't around the you know, even though my half of my family is Hispanic, they weren't part of any type of gangs or anything, you know. So I hear those, you know, they get a little psychotic over there. But for the people that I hung around, they ain't ganking mommies and kids, okay, or grandmas, okay. There's a code, there's a line. I'm sorry, even gangsters have a code, okay. They're usually keep it in the street, okay. This is something that I it's a former life, but for gang and cartel to be involved in something like this, they'd have to be hired. This is not a personal. This would not be a personal beef for them. That's just my opinion. You know, people that have former lives like myself are going to have to speak up and say whether they agree with that statement or not, or clarify it. You know, but that's been my experience. I know a lot of bad people. Okay, in my former life, I hung around a lot of bad people. We did a lot of bad things. I am very fortunate. And at the end of the day, grandmas were always off limits. Just throwing that out there. I find it strange that they found all those black gloves while searching, yet police and detectives are allowed to litter, but they can give normal citizens fine for that. Let's not be getting petty. We got a petty Betty into the chat. I'm just joking. But true. I mean, in all fairness, yeah, I get it. There were a lot of gloves, and, you know, there were some understandings, because I know the FBI was out there, and I know law enforcement, they are very cautious and cognizant about the gloves. I think the reason why there were so many gloves out there that may have been from law enforcement is because they were searching in rugged terrain, and it was my understanding they were putting those in the back pocket. And that's one of the things I don't do, is I don't put, like, I always have a backpack with me when I'm out searching, because all that stuff goes in the backpack, so nothing can get snagged out, you know, whatever. I have water, towels, supplies, you know. I even have usually some caution tape, so if we find something, we can tape the area so people don't go in there. There's just a lot of stuff that I take, but I very rarely put anything in my back pocket. As a matter of fact, the reason why I wear a thing around my neck with my car keys is because I'm fearful that something will snag, even if I have them clipped to my pants, that something will snag my keys. So I put them around my neck so I know I can put them inside my shirt so I know where they are at all times. There's nothing worse than searching, you know, 3 or 4 miles and then like, I dropped my keys. Okay. That would be detrimental. Okay. So I have things in place, but I think that some of those was not, you know, intentional, in all fairness. I think some of it was just, you know, the elements and people just rushing to try to find anything. It does happen though. But yeah, shocking enough. They should, that's pretty bad. And they should have, quite frankly, fined the worker at the restaurant for litter. I mean, at the end of the day, we know the restaurant worker, I hear it was a female, I could be wrong. But the restaurant worker, I hear, was caught up in all of this because the DNA from the glove came back to a worker. A restaurant worker. But you know what? We also said restaurant workers have access to those gloves. We went through who has access to those gloves. Nano 2, it's nice to see you. I'm almost through all this. Shining Star. Oh, hey, Keith, you're up in the morning fairly early. Ty, it's nice to see you. Skybell, good morning. Baby Love, Amy, good morning. Oh, Barbosa. Hey, love, I hope you're doing well. Good morning, love. Is it Rue Ortiz? I know there's something. I got the Ortiz. If I can Isidro? I don't know. I think I'm screwing up your name. I'm sorry. Well, good morning, Ortiz. We'll call you Ortiz. Amber, it's nice to see you. Good morning. Author, it's nice to see you. Who else do we have? I think. Carol, I see Carol. Good morning. Oh, Megan Els is up in the chat. Nothing but a thing. Good morning. Jody, good morning. I always put. Why are you putting? Somebody get that. radiant lighting, survey tape, pink, food, water, compasses. We're going to leave the other comment you say. Ortiz, if you're here to troll, please don't. It's too damn early and none of us have the patience for you. So either go away or let us block you, but let's not talk like that. This is kind of more of a family oriented. I cuss here and there, but it's more of a family oriented. We're not talking about things that have nothing to do with an 84-year-old missing lady. Okay, just put that into perspective. Okay, so let's mind our P's and Q's in the chat. There could be, even though I do want this to be 18 and older, there could be somebody younger watching with little eyes, so please be cognizant of that. All right, guys, so here we are. You know, we're hearing of this sighting. Why is law enforcement not looking in Mexico? I think everybody here can acknowledge that it seems like it's a viable path forward with everything we're learning, right? Maybe at the beginning of this case, we didn't think that this was a possibility. Maybe law enforcement didn't think it was a possibility. Nobody saw her crossing over, but we're hearing that there's multiple places to cross undetected. Still, there's enough to you know, I get it. That's why I didn't have them block you. That's why I didn't have them block you. That's okay. That's why I wanted to make sure you were new here. So I wanted to make sure you knew you knew the rules. Don't worry. You're good. Welcome. We just wanted to remind everybody. That's all. No big deal. This is a little concerning for all of us because I think we've all asked ourselves at least a time or two, how was this dismissed so quickly? How is it possible to dismiss, you know, Mexico? It does seem a viable source. And even if at the beginning of this, we didn't know, you know, at the beginning of this, we had a lot of mixed messages because we were focused highly on Tommaso. I mean, Tommaso was the last person that saw her. The next day, they lollygag around her house for a full hour before they call law enforcement, and the family vehicle was impounded. You know, there was a lot of things that really made us kind of go, okay, this might really be what we're dealing with here, right? And although, you know, there was a lot of things that fit for me, there were a lot of things that didn't fit for me. You know, I'm a very logical person. I try to play the tape through, and I always ask very, very specific questions. Why? You know, that's the most important question. Why? For example, why would they be taking care of their aging mother for 20 years and now they want to offer, right? Why didn't they do that 15 years ago? You know, through all this time, they could have been slowly getting her sick. I mean, you know, there's just a lot of things that went through my mind that, you know, I have to answer. I try to answer before, you know, I'm talking about these cases. And when it came to Tommaso and Annie's, you know, we learned early on they were the last ones to see her. So naturally, we were looking at her. I remember sitting here saying, I'm praying that it's not the family. Please don't let it be her daughter. I mean, I said it publicly here. Like, I don't want to think that this is what we're dealing with, that this is Savannah's sister, you know? And the more I looked at them, the more I looked into them, the more I researched their background, I realized that they really were like these hippie type of people. And it's like, their history's kind of hippie, you know, salt of the earth, kumbaya type of people. I'm sorry. I know a lot of hippies, and there's not a lot of violent hippies out there. Okay. There are some. I mean, I'm not dismissing that there have been some violent hippies that have done some terrible things and still like, yeah, man, can we all just get along? You know, I get it. But those are the kind of people that they truly, that's their personality, in my opinion. They're these hippies. And so it was kind of hard to get me over the fence with everything I was seeing. And then, of course, came them having this, you know, financial problems and owing, you know, gambling debts. And I'm like, huh? I didn't even see any history of even being at a casino in their past. I mean, let alone them having, you know, gambling problems. And they're talking about, you know, money problems. I'm like, you know, thinking logically here, well, they just bought a house a year ago. I mean, that takes credit. I mean, you go out and buy a house, see how easy it is. It's not easy. So we have all these things, and then people are like, well, maybe the mom refinanced her house to pay for this house. And it's like, well, then there should be a paper trail. You can't finance big ticket items like houses and stuff without having a paper trail of this, and what they were doing. But it sounds like she has a trust or something she's siphoning money off of. So I don't think she needs to, mortgage her home to give her daughter money. Obviously there's plenty of money in this family from mom to her sister to her brother. And quite frankly, we don't know what kind of financial makeup they have, because it sounds like, yeah, they work, some, like her husband works a part-time job, but Annie's a book writer. She makes jewelry. She has a studio she's been paying for all these years. She does poetry classes. I mean, you're talking about big ticket items. You can, I don't know if you know that, but on some of these classes on a weekend, you can make $1,000 or $2,000 just a weekend, for hosting classes, at $100 a head. So you see where I'm going? You only need 10 to 20 people in a classroom to you see what I'm saying? That are interested to help. So we don't know truly what their financial makeup is, and I think it's disingenuous to try to assume and then to pass that off as fact. So we understand why Tommaso was being looked at, but now we get to Carlos and Luke, and those are the ones that throw us for the loop. But let's talk about this. They did both get swept up, and although Sheriff Chris Nanos has said he's got what he needed from them, from the search warrants, and he's moving on. I think he's waiting for some results to come back, but Rio Rico is a lot closer to that Mexico border. And we don't know who Carlos is, and we know he was making deliveries in that community. He was a delivery driver. Well, we just happen to have the second person after the masked gunman was released. We have a second person that happens to be a substance abuse or a dealer themselves, to support their substance abuse. And is there a possibility that maybe there were some deliveries? I mean, did he deliver something to even Luke's house? Is there a connection between Carlos and Luke that we don't know about? I'm kind of looking, because now that we're finding out from the neighbor, which we discussed, the neighbor saw a strange individual in the neighborhood days or weeks rather leading up to Nancy's disappearance, scoping out the road, including Nancy's road, and stopping and taking a long look. Luke smashed his car up before Nancy. Yeah, I do agree with it. He didn't get the Range Rover till long after. I'd still like to know when he got the Range Rover, because we've got sightings behind this lady, and I'm telling you, those rims look like something I'm seeing in the background of this assailant. So I'm not going to get off Luke until he's publicly cleared. There's just too many things that, and I can't accuse him of having anything to do with this, but I do now officially understand why he was brought in, why he's being looked at by law enforcement. I absolutely 100% hands down understand now. I'm not convinced either, Mike, that, he is the one that did this. That's why I'm being very cautious when I deal with Luke, because I don't want to accuse, especially somebody that's already had run-ins with the law that's trying to change their life. I would never want to be one of those people that put my foot on their neck unnecessarily. But I do also believe that there's enough water here being held that for us to dismiss that, I think we'd be foolish in the true crime genre. I think we need to follow the lead through when it comes to Luke all the way through, because there's just too many things here that, again, I'm a fair person, so I was never looking at him, and I am like this. People have been following me for years, so they know that this is my behavior, but I may set something aside until something else comes up, and then bring them back in. And that's what happened with Luke. We heard of Luke. I think I spent 20 minutes on him previously in prior live shows to discuss him, because I didn't believe there was enough here to do anything with him. And had he never did the interview, him or his mother, we would have never started looking at him again. He would have been off my radar. He would have been out of sight, out of mind. But he did do that interview, and he did speak, and he did walk in, and we were able to see some things. We were able to compare some things to a video. And while I'm not an expert, and I understand I'm not an expert, I do identify that some things don't make me feel comfortable when it comes to Luke. And so because I don't feel comfortable when things come to Luke, he is on my radar. I'm not going to sit here and spend hours upon hours. Many people, we will continue to discuss him and bring him up here and there, but I'm not going to be taking a club and clubbing him over the head until some more information comes up. If you know Luke, if you are a friend of Luke, if you would like to tell me your experience with Luke or how he's not capable of doing this, I'm willing to entertain those. I'm willing to listen to you either on the record or off the record. That whether you're on the record or off the record is completely up to you. So if you're coming by here and you know these families and you would like to provide me a little insight, my email is bullhornbetty@gmail.com. If you would like to speak to me about it so I can ask you some questions, which would be the best, but I'll take an email as well. But if you know these people, I would like to speak to you. I would, I don't want to hurt anybody, especially when it comes to people that are, I'm very sympathetic to recovering individuals because I was a recovering individual. Once you are in recovery, you're always in recovery, right? That's basically it. Once you have a disease, you're kind of stuck with that disease. You have to maintain it. So I'm very sympathetic and empathetic to people that are recovering from substance abuse. And I know how difficult it is to recover without going through something like this. This makes it 100 times harder. So I don't want to accuse somebody that's trying to get their life together. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to be very, very careful how I deal with Luke, but I can't dismiss the fact that there is something that's very problematic with him that's just not, that it's not sitting right with me in the pit of my stomach. And I listen to my stomach because I've been doing this enough. And I know that my stomach, that pit of my stomach, when it starts talking to me that I need to pump the brakes and slow up, I can't just keep dismissing this and keep dismissing that. Something happened to this lady. We're learning that it wasn't her immediate family, which in all fairness, we should be thankful for. And I keep asking people because there's a lot of people that are still on Tommaso. And when you break down why they are still looking at Tommaso, it's very simple because in their mind, they still believe he was the last person that saw her alive. They keep whenever I speak to them and try to gauge, what are the real reasons, it comes down to that. In their mind, they're mentally putting him as the last person to see her. So whenever you start correcting that thought and start saying, no, he's not the last person that saw her. The last person that saw Nancy Guthrie was the masked gunman. That was the last person that saw her. When you start remembering and refreshing people's minds, Tommaso starts becoming an afterthought. Why? Because he really wasn't the last person that saw her alive. This masked gunman was. And we're hearing from the neighbors that somebody was scoping out that neighborhood weeks in advance. So this is all really playing into this whole premeditated and very much planned orchestration of something. What made her the target? That's what we need to focus on. What made her the target? And why are we now bleeding into Mexico when it was cleared before, or law enforcement didn't believe there was a viable path forward in this? Nicole, please read my comments above. Good morning, Nicole. Let me find your comments above. I do watch Sleuth. Annie and Tommaso are into dark stuff, in my opinion. But unfortunately, that's opinion. That's Sleuth's opinion. There has been not any verifiable evidence to support that. And I understand. The problem is like there are some things that Sleuth does that I'm interested in, and there are some things that are speculative in nature that don't bode with actual physical evidence. If they're in dark stuff, what dark stuff? And is it like artsy dark stuff? Because I know a lot of people that I mean, I had a mod here that was in all kinds of dark, twisted stuff, and she went to church. She was part of her church service. She just liked, she was into all this Halloween stuff. And she got into all like the creepy dolls and all that stuff. Those were kind of things that she just liked. So I don't necessarily, in my research, let me just preface it this way. I have not seen that particular episode, and I need to watch it before I go and say anything. But in my opinion, because I've done research, I haven't found anything in their history to show demonic, to show financial problems, to show a gambling debt. We hear that they are poets, which sometimes poets get very deep and dark. They're into jewelry making and some of those things. It appears that she loves to dress up for Halloween. We saw Halloween dressing. So I would just be very, very, very careful. Yes, we can, look at some of the research that Sleuth is doing, but to say that they're into some dark stuff, I'm not seeing, it's called fetish balls. Well, that if they have some type of, I don't know what that is, but how would he know? How would this guy know about these fetish balls? I mean, seriously, like seriously. What if I had fetish balls? How would you know? I need to quit spreading rumors, okay? I don't have fetish balls, just to let you know, okay? But I want to break this down, and I'm not laughing. I just want to make sure that I caught myself off guard. I do not have fetish ball. That's how these things get started. But how would he know? Just the most realistic question: how would he know? That does not come up on any background. I don't know. It just doesn't come up on any background. I don't know how we would ever know whether they had fetish balls or not. Okay, that's a little TMI for me. And unless Sleuth is one of those officers that was canvassing or went inside their house with that camera, I mean, I don't know. Unless there's something being leaked by Pima County Department. I mean, I don't know. I'm making light of it. I don't know how he would know that. That's my most logical response to that. Is it possible? I'm sure anything's possible. But how would Sleuth know that? That's an awfully personal item. If I had to think about it. You know what I'm saying? That's all, Nicole. Not that, I mean, we hear stuff all the time. Don't feel embarrassed or anything about putting the stuff in the chat. Because you're not the one that said it. You're watching a show. You're bringing it up to all of us, so us to look at it. Nobody, there is something called the fetish ball. Yeah, but again, how you got I know we have leaky balls now because we're laughing so hard. I don't know how they would know about it. That's all I'm saying is I don't know how Sleuth would have that type of private personal information about this family. It just, I mean, if he spoke to somebody, I would like to not necessarily identify. I know sometimes we have to keep people off the record. I understand that more than anybody. But there should be something they can, put a voice. If he's hearing it from somebody in the community, then we need to hear that. There's a lot of ways to voice change, so he can keep the anonymity of the individual. But I would need to hear somebody expressing how they knew something that private, about their life. That sounds like it might be an opinion or a guess or, something they're researching, but it might be hyperbole. I mean, I don't know because to me, it just seems like that. Is a fetish ball? Oh, okay. Is fetish ball an event or an item? Okay, Mo. Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. Maybe I'm looking at a ball, like a and it is an event. Okay, is an event. Well, again, how would he know that? Did they have photos from this fetish event? My triplet 4-year-old brother. One went to school telling everyone they got leaky balls. Oh, good gracious. Well, that's what they get for watching Bullhorn Betty. If you guys want to know about leaky balls, I'm talking about my eyeballs. Okay. I laugh a lot. And when I laugh, I tear up. And I don't know why. I've been to a fetish ball. I wouldn't kidnap my mom. Okay. Okay. I've never been to one. Okay, so Momo has some experience. Momo has some experience. Are they bad things? They're saying that these fetish balls are dark, twisted things. Momo. Yeah. Way he would know is if he was involved in that scene. Oh! Oh! Maybe sleuth intuition. What you been doing there, Brody? What you been doing there, Brody? What you been doing there, Mr. Sleuthy Sleuth? I live in Cali. There we Mo's got the answers. Well, thank goodness that you broaden your horizons. Thank goodness you broaden your horizons. So, well, they call it somebody's putting some weight into the statement of fetish. I've never heard of a fetish ball before. But I'm a prude. You know, I'm a little prude. I won't lie. You know, back in my 20-year-old, I was probably a little more wild. You might be able to get me to one of these fetish balls when I was, you know, in my 20-something and crazy and freaking, you know, soggy in the brain. You might have been, but now that I'm 46, I'm like, yeah, you guys can have all that fun. I love that for you. I love that for you. Well, that's good. So Mo, it can be dark and twisted, but it's supposed to be like to ebb and usually is totally consensual and can come. Okay. All right. So that's good. Well, that kind of explains it. So it's totally, you know, yeah, we have crazy shiz and we do. We have a hotel event thingy here. I never heard of it, but back in my 20s, I dated a guy, right? And he was like, "Hey, why don't you come to this event?" And I looked it up, and I'm like, "Ooh, ooh, like there's holes in the wall and all kind." Nope. I mean, Betty, that was before I knew Jesus. Well, I mean, a lot of the stuff is, like even like I said, in my 20 self, I might BDSM. Okay, so we're talking about those type of things, and that's kind of a sexual type of fetish-ish type of lifestyle. Not totally, but can be part of it, right? So, Grave Crime with Grace coming in and saying, "Morning." We're talking about BDSM and fetishes. She's like, what the hell's going on? What the hell happened to Betty's show? What happened to Betty's show? Okay, so, well, now that I kind of know, because I'm like I said, I'm not into all of that. I'm very much prudy and, stuff like that. Anyways. Well, I do know that most of that stuff is truly consensual. Guys, pardon me if I get a little choked up, okay? I see people are laughing. They're probably walking in and saying, what the hell's going on? I'm going to say, hey, well, pimp Mama Betty up in the house, Pimp Mama Betty up in the house. What fetish is you? What fetish is... We need to stop. Oh, good gracious. Yeah, good gracious. Mab channel found out Kayla has been to a fetish ball connected with DJ and Derek. Well, we need to look at that Derek stuff because, somebody had, not that, if Derek, I can see somebody saying, ooh, I met that guy sometime. I think I got his number in my phone, and doing some all around F stuff. I have my windows open. I think my Hey neighbors, what's your fetish? What's your fetish? You need to get focused on poor Nancy. Nancy Grace too, but poor Nancy. So this show is that we have some breaking news related to Nancy Guthrie, and that she could potentially be in Mexico. But is this really part of this ransom? Could she really be in Mexico? Because, you know, the FBI cleared this path forward that people were looking in Mexico and said, nah, not so fast. She's not there. Well, how the heck do you know? You're not giving us a whole lot of information here. You're not giving us a whole lot of information here, and every path that we're kind of looking down, it seems like law enforcement is clearing that path and saying there's no viable path here. And Jim Brenner, yeah, I remember that case. I followed that case too. Everybody in the chat blushing. Everybody in the chat, like I said, we got a lot of prudy people here. A lot of prudes. I noticed that we don't see Sonia up in the chat. I'm just saying. When she comes back on the replay crew, she's gonna be praying over all of us. She's gonna be praying. If Elmo could go to right. All right, let's get back to the Mexico information. We got a lot of bombshells today from Nancy Grace. Actually, Nancy Grace went on yesterday, and she was rolling at the same time Justin For All was rolling. So I think a lot of people missed her statements here. But wow, because she had a lot of bombshells in this video. And actually, we're going to be going over, like, we've got conversations about DNA today. We've got conversations about hearing aids. We've got a lot of stuff that we're going to be going over and breaking them down into individual live shows, because I think that we can develop an hour to 2 hours out of each show. And so I don't want to be here for a solid 6 hours on one show. We need to break. We need to, some of you guys got to go to work and you'll have to come back and watch a replay. You don't want to be, trying to find stuff in the, 6 hours in. So I'm breaking them down. We're going to have probably an hour or 2 hour between each segment of the show today, but we're going to be breaking down some very much needed talking points related to this case. We know that we have content creators and news out there monitoring all the twists and turns, boots on the ground. It's becoming almost futile to be there because law enforcement's not cooperating. I mean, I had to pretty much threaten them just to be put on. And even though they said, oh, you're on the list for a month. Okay, I don't believe that. I don't believe that they're very friendly with social media in their department. But I don't want to, I just, because I don't believe them doesn't mean that it's not true. It doesn't mean that I haven't been on the list for a month. Maybe it just felt like I haven't. But either way, it takes a little stern handling with this law enforcement department, and I don't like it. I really don't. It shouldn't be this way. We're all here trying to do the same thing, find Nancy and bring her home. And granted, they are the ones that have the authority to do the actual criminal investigation, but we're here trying to make sure that the public is informed, and if there's any help that the public can provide them, we're here to instruct the public. That's the same with mainstream media as it is with social media. However, we do things different here on social media. We keep people engaged for longer durations than any mainstream media could possibly have the palette or the financial makeup to do. We do that type of work. So when mainstream media goes away from the case, it is social media that keeps carrying the weight of that case until it's solved, keeps constantly bringing it up. Even Summer Wells, it's been 5 years. We can't stay on a case for an entire 5 years, but we're constantly bringing the case up. Every time we go back to Tennessee, we try to make it our way over there. The last time we were going to go over to Kingsport, which would have ultimately taken me over to Ben Hill Road because I would be right there and I would have done that. However, one of my county commissioners died and I had to come back here to Florida. And that's been a very hard battle to deal with here, but that's what happened. But we never forget about the cases. Even Sebastian Rogers. We've given Sebastian Rogers 2 years. We've been fighting with their sheriff for 2 blessed years just for some information to keep this boy's story alive. But because it's so corrupted, it's one of the most corrupted counties there. They don't want it. They arrested me to try to intimidate me into silence. And it only made the situation 10 times worse because that's the worst thing you can do to me. I will not go away. I will not be silent. As a matter of fact, I turn the heat up 100 times more and beg you to do it again. That's what I do. In this case right here, we've got a sheriff just like Sheriff Snuggle Struggles. He is so, he won't get out of his own way. And the more you tell him, the more he wants to blame you. Oh, you don't understand. Oh, blah, 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 blah. It's you. You're the bad ones. You're the bad ones. You're poking your nose where you don't belong. No. We've been doing this for a freaking long time. We know what a good investigation, what good, thorough forensics looks like. And as soon as we see that front door, we know you didn't do crap that you were supposed to do or the way it was supposed to be done. Why do we know that? Because we know that we should have not seen that mat at the front door, and we should not have seen that foliage. That foliage should have been vacuumed up and taken for trace evidence. Period. That man touched that stuff, and even if you didn't know it at the time, good forensics would have required that stuff to come with whether you saw the masked gunman or not. So it tells me, right on the face of it, we do not have a thorough forensic investigation prior to them releasing the house. That is a fact. And how do we know that? Because we can see that mat at that front door. Who the hell would have left the mat at the front door when you had all that blood? The assumption that the assailant could have stood on that is already there. You pack that up, put it in a bag, and label it as evidence. They didn't do it. Another thing that was pointed out that I even missed, but my audience did not miss it. And that was the fact it did not appear that there was any fingerprint dust anywhere around that front area. Not on that camera. They didn't know whether this person would have had gloves on or not. But we know that they did not clean up. How do we know that? We could see drops of blood all over the front porch, that front area, that front walkway, right? So if we could see the blood there, wouldn't our common sense tell us that we should see the fingerprint dust there too? So we have a mat there, foliage on the ground that they never collected. I mean, it was one of the things that, it was so obvious that people thought that maybe somebody brought flowers up to gain entry in the house. That's how obvious this foliage at that front door was. And their law enforcement, that's the best that they've got, didn't think to collect it. And we're supposed to believe as the public that this was a thorough forensic investigation. Yet that mat still stays on the outside of that house, right where the assailant stepped. The trace evidence that may have been garnered from that might have been huge. What if there was a cat hair or a dog hair that could be connected back to the house, and they didn't even bother taking the damn mat? And then we hear that they've dismissed this Mexico option a long time ago. And now we have a bonehead saying that she's in Mexico. And the reason why I say it's a bonehead is because I believe this is related to the $70,000 Bitcoin.
Nancy, and good luck. Also joining us tonight, you know him well, Brian Fitzgibbons, the Director of Operations at USPA Nationwide Security. What is that? He leads a team of experts that go around the world finding missing people, including extracting them from Mexico. He is a former Marine and an Iraqi war vet. That said, Brian Fitzgibbons, thank you for being with us.
We need to get a hold of them and see if they'll come in and find Sebastian Rogers. We needed somebody to come in and find Sebastian Rogers. Sebastian Rogers, I feel, is close. But there's a piece of me that feels like his stepdaddy got rid of him, but I still feel there's something.
I want to talk to you about the alleged sighting. I want you to get the facts first, to Dave Mack joining us, Crime Stories investigative reporter. Okay, tell me about the alleged sighting of Nancy Guthrie.
This is a vague commentary. We don't know exactly where she was seen or exactly who she was with, but we have an eyewitness claiming that they saw Nancy Guthrie south of the border with the alleged kidnappers, and they were very serious about knowing it was Nancy. So we've got this positive identification of Nancy Guthrie in Mexico.
Dave Mack, you are insisting that the information is very vague, and there's a reason for that. The tipster, the informant, is willing to, allegedly, provide more exact information in exchange for what?
Bitcoin. This person wants 1 Bitcoin, which is worth just south of $70,000. And that's...
So, this is what I think. They need to find these ransom people, whether they're overseas or not, and they need to identify them to the public. Because I'm upset that we haven't identified these yahoos that have done that. We've only identified one, and we put him on the screen. And that was the one out in California, Derek. What's his name, Derek? Yeah, it was Derek, right? Derek. Who was the one in... What was the one in California? Somebody throw me the name of the person in California that was arrested. When they know what happened, that person isn't missing. It makes them do investigation lackadaisical, therefore proving involvement. That's my honest opinion. I forget the guy's name, but that was over in California that was caught up in the reached out to the Guthrie and Annie and Tommaso. When they know what happened, okay, got that. Doesn't know where she was seen or who she was seen with, but was seen. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. I saw Harry family, and I saw the Harry family in Mexico also. They look like bears. Ooh. I do believe that they need to search Mexico. Talking about beating a dead horse. What, the Mexico? This is from Nancy Grace's show last night. I don't know what you're talking about, beating a dead horse. This is from last night. See day 38 there? This is from last night. Look at that. 12 hours ago, right there. So I don't know what you're talking about, beating a dead horse. I'm talking about the Nancy Grace statements here about the sighting of Nancy Guthrie. So, and again, this is based upon recent video and information that was released by Nancy Grace. So, Mr. Wrong, if you don't like being here, you're more than welcome to go any other place. Have a great day and God bless. I would say don't go to your work with that kind of attitude. You might get fired. Have a great day. Screaming or scamming, in my opinion. It very well might be. It very well might be. But Derek Kallela, there it is. Thank you guys. Exploring with Jim was going to go into Mexico to search with dirt bike. Border Patrol wanted his passport, car insurance, etc. Not easy to get in. I hear it's very easy to get into Mexico. It's a little more difficult to come back from Mexico. According to what Brian Enton said, he said it was pretty easy. They didn't ask for crack going in. They don't mind people coming in. They just don't want them coming back over. So that was, I don't know. I never went into Mexico. Olivia and I did the border. We went to Eagle Pass after they pretty much closed the border because Jonathan had just been there, and it was crazy. The whole bunch of people crossing the border into the United States, and it was just like there was wall to wall people in Eagle Pass. And so we heard that Greg Abbott had closed the border. So Olivia and I decided to go down there to cover the border and the closing of the border to see how it compared to the prior videos that we had seen. And there was nobody on the street, but we never went into Mexico. Like, her mom was like, no, we're not crossing over. She refused to cross over to Mexico. We had to stay in the United States. She was she drove us. She was there with us. It's mom. So we have to listen to mom. We don't get to overrule mom. She's like, nah, we ain't going into Mexico. So I haven't been through the ports. I don't know how to get to Mexico. I don't know how difficult it is to cross over to Mexico. I don't know how difficult it is to come back from Mexico. When it comes to that stuff, I'm ignorant, so I'm definitely not the one that can say anything. I can only go by what somebody else says. But maybe one day I'll have the experience and I'll be able to speak from personal experience. But in this particular matter, I have no personal experience. It's definitely doesn't think she's I definitely don't think she's in Mexico. Okay, well that's good. That's good. I don't know whether she's in Mexico or not. I just me personally, I feel like they dismissed that way too soon because they're dismissing it so early, and we don't know if maybe she was in the United States and then transported over to Mexico. As soon as law enforcement said that they've cleared Mexico, what would stop them then from going into Mexico? They know that Mexico's cleared. I bet he don't go to Mexico. I'm not. Mom, kept us out of there. I don't foresee me going to that side of of our United States unless another major breaking case comes out. We would have taken this case if we were prepared for this case. We were not prepared for this case. We still got a lot of court stuff going on, and here's the issue. I'm trying to, get us out of this office because we're not a show that's office. We became an office show because we've had no choice. We've got some legal expenses and stuff like that, but we're out in the field. So I'm going to try to start getting us back out in the field, at least for one case a month. I'm going to try to get it. That's what we used to do, is one case a month. We'd go out in the field every month and be live streaming a search for somebody or something like that. That's what we've always done. Here recently, one of the reasons is we've got all this court stuff coming up, and quite frankly, if I spend too much money and I can't pay my attorney, I freak out about stuff like that. So I'm a planner, I'm a budgeter. I feel that we can walk and chew gum. It just, it takes a little more planning and a little more budgeting, and I just didn't have it in the budget to go out there. I've got myself situated now that budgetary concerns are not going to prevent us from getting out there in the future. We'll plan on other events. So with that being said, I'll leave it at that. But it was just too expensive to get out there. I wish I would have been able to get out there.
That's what the tipster
allegedly provide more exact information in exchange for what?
Bitcoin. This person wants 1 Bitcoin, which is worth just south of $70,000. And that's what the tipster, the witness, wants to provide the information. 1 Bitcoin.
Guess what? While you have been talking, right now, Dave Mack, 1 Bitcoin has increased in value up to $71,406.78.
I remember it was like $15.
1 Bitcoin, $71,406, $71,000. So
if we would have all invested just, $100 in Bitcoin 20 years ago, we would all be mega wealthy at this moment.
They're saying they've got info, but you're going to have to pay to get it. Now, do you have the exact verbiage of the missive?
Word for word. I know what I saw 5 days ago south of the border, and I was told to shut up. So I know who he is, and that was definitely Nancy with them. Plural, them.
Them. Okay.
So, these things I don't think we can dismiss anymore. Okay? I really don't. I don't think we can dismiss these anymore, because when we started hearing these at the beginning, it was far-fetched because we believed it was somebody close to Nancy. Well, now that we're 39, almost 40 days into this case, we've learned that somebody was seen scoping out the neighborhood weeks in advance. We know that there was somebody observed on her security camera weeks prior to. Somebody was there from the neighbor in the morning. We clearly see somebody there at very, very pitch black at night, scoping out the front door and other things specifically around her house weeks before she disappeared. This was absolutely a targeted, premeditated event, and the question is why. Now, because we don't know who did this, and now we're starting to see the coordination and the planning that went into this abduction, this murder, this homicide. I'm at the point right now I want to call it a homicide until we're proven that she's alive, because I want the suspects to know, like, you've committed a capital crime. We're coming for your ass. We're coming to fry you. So if you're a low-level person in this whole thing, and you don't have a whole lot of culpability in it, you need to start singing like a canary, because your culpability, whether you was minor or not, if a woman is dead, you're going down for first degree homicide. It doesn't matter if you just took this evidence and burn it. It doesn't matter. That's a first degree homicide charge. We burn people at the stake for that stuff here in the United States. So if you're involved in this, and it's especially a low level involvement, I'd be singing like a canary. I'd be going to law enforcement. I would be getting myself a immunity agreement, and I would tell them every single thing I know. Do not lie. If you are a person that gets an immunity, you are gracious enough to be absolved of all of your crimes. If you tell the truth, I don't care if you say you take that you tell them everything. You do not lie about one iota. If you threw a cigarette butt down, you better tell them about it. Do not lie. Do not get yourself jammed up, because that's what happened in Brooke Houck's case. His the older guy, I forgot the name. There was 3 people involved, and one was the father of his worked for his Brooks Houck and whatnot. Anyways, he had an immunity agreement, and because he lied about his involvement in that immunity agreement, he went up. He's spending the rest of his life behind bars now. He was ready. He had a document that would let him walk of any charges. All he had to do was tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth. And even when given him that immunity agreement to tell the whole truth, he still would not acknowledge his involvement. And when they found out and had evidence of his involvement, even picking up his son, even destroying this, that was enough to kill that immunity agreement and throw his ass in jail for the rest of his life. So if you are gracious, and I don't care if you're just watching this and it may not even have anything to do with Nancy Guthrie's case, and you are involved in a crime and you are provided an immunity agreement, this is for you too. Never lie. Tell them the truth, as uncomfortable as it is, because that is the only thing that will preserve that immunity agreement into perpetuity. If you're caught lying about one little thing, you just confessed to a crime and you're about to go up Schitt's Creek without a paddle. I'm just putting it out there like that. So, immunity agreements, if you're ever involved in them, don't play with them. Don't play with them. I've seen so many people they were given everything and all they had to do was just tell the truth. And they still couldn't acknowledge their involvement because they wanted to still look like the innocent person. You got an immunity agreement. I don't care if you held their feet down. You tell them you held their feet down. You're immune. You're immune. You're immune. You're immune. Okay. So now we got Nancy possibly being in Mexico. And they're wanting a Bitcoin. Listen, I'm not willing to dismiss this anymore. Because I think we have... Let me ask you guys this. Let me put this out to my audience. How many of you guys believe that this we don't know for sure, but this is one of the theories, right? That there are multiple people involved. How many people believe there are multiple people? We have almost 600 people in chat right now. How many people believe that there may be multiple people involved? If you believe that, put a 1 in the chat. If you think it was a lone person, put a 2 in the chat. I just want to gauge my audience. Good morning, Mr. Dunham. It's nice to see you. Peek? Hope you're doing well. If I said your name right. Jody, the eyebrow arch is too thick to be pronounced. I think it's kind of hard to say. So we got. Do you think she could be in a rant? No. So we have. Okay, say that again. I wanted to find out who believes there might be more than one assailant involved. 1, that there's more than one, or 2, there isn't. It's just this lone guy. Okay, thank you. We've got majority of 1s. We've got a 2. I say 3. Like you, three people involved, so it's multiple people. Tie, be good. Be nice. Okay. morning. Okay, so we have a couple twos. I don't think there's more. So we got a few twos. The majority of our audience believes that this is more of a concerted effort. The driver and two to take her. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I'm kind of, I do have a theory, that requires more people involved, but I do have a theory of this being a lone person as well. So I don't know, there's no right or wrong answer to this because we don't know what happened. So, we really don't, I feel like the feeling of personal has not left me yet. That I haven't shaken off yet, this personal tone to all of this, like this. And it doesn't necessarily have to be personal, like they knew them specifically or that they were necessarily an employee of them. But it still feels personal. And that personal could be resentment, jealousy. I mean, I don't know. It just, I can't deduct. I can't reasonably explain or rationalize or reconcile why anybody would rip an 84-year-old frail grandmother with heart problems out of her bed and drag her out of the house in the middle of the night. And we all know from everything that the family has told us about her frail heart, about her mobility issues. I mean, this is not a woman that can handle this type of environment for 40 days. So I think she's a spy. Well, listen to this. This is going to start getting really conspiracy theory, guys. It really is. Did you know there's another high-profile disappearance in Arizona? Or no, not Arizona. I think it's New Mexico. The state over. And this guy was some kind of major person in the alien program. Let me look this up real quick. Hold on. Alien or UFO guy missing from New Mexico. And he's an elderly guy. Here it is. And it happened like 25 days after Nancy Guthrie. So if you guys, I mean, you brought it up, Bombastic. You know what? I've got some conspiracy theories myself. Let me move this over here and go to the left side. And I've got some conspiracy theories myself, but this happened like on February 26th. She was disappeared on February 1st. And it sounds really, really, really interesting. Look at his age. He's 68 years old. She's 84. But she also, there's a lot of, yep, I heard about the general. Yes. And this is not the only person. There was another elderly lady, like 87 years old, that disappeared from Phoenix too. So, but this was a high profile, because somebody had told me, could we know that Savannah Guthrie is married to her husband that's been affiliated with the high-level Democrat party people, like Hillary Clinton, President Obama, stuff like that. We've known about that. And we know that when this happened, one of her first calls was to Senator Mark Kelly. And so we know she has a very, very strong connection to some of these people in the government. And this person here has a strong connection to people in our government. Is this something where we are truly kind of at war with other places? Like we took Maduro, we're bombing Iran. Is there some sleepers in our country that are going and snatching some American citizens? I'm sorry, you got to ask these questions. We're not thinking about things like that, but could there be possibilities of people going and picking up our high profile seniors as Now I know, we're getting paranoid here. I get it. Like I said, I was going to get into, when you said that, I knew that this was going to be really conspiracy theory esque, because of this right here. And I wasn't going to bring this up, but I did read it, right? But you kind of walked right into this, and it sparked this curiosity about this guy. So let's listen to this. This is kind of wild.
A 68-year-old retired Air Force officer has been missing since February 27th in Albuquerque, New Mexico. A
26
silver
days.
alert has been issued. Now, that's typically reserved for older missing people, sometimes who have health-related issues. Now, to be clear, this isn't just any missing senior citizen, no. This is Major General William Neal McCaslin, a former commander of the Air Force Research Laboratory, the organization responsible for advanced military technology and science. He also worked on space systems and special programs at the Pentagon, projects that were so classified that many inside the government never even got to see them.
And many of you
Here's
guys
where the
said
story really
that
gets strange. The base that he once led.
Many of you guys have brought up, Epstein and other governmental stuff that maybe Savannah or her husband might have been affiliated or involved with that we don't know because it was highly classified. Could this be something we don't know? Is there something else going on here? But these people didn't seem like the at least the person on the outside of that house did not seem like the brightest, most skilled person. You would expect this being taken out by some, like CIA operatives for a different country or something. I know we have CIA, but, a CIA branch of a different country, I don't know what that would be. Is it like the Gestapo or something?
Wright-Patterson Air Force Base is historically linked to Project Blue Book. This is the reported U.S. military's official investigation into UFO sightings. McCaslin once oversaw a $2 billion budget and some of America's biggest secrets. So when somebody like that disappears, people start asking questions, particularly since McCaslin had disappeared right after the president announced that he was directing the release of UFO and extraterrestrial materials. So you can see why there are those online who are fully into theory mode right now, right? The FBI, multiple other agencies are now involved in this search. I want to bring in somebody who has been following this story closer than anyone.
And I know they're talking about this stuff, but where did this guy, hold on, let me make sure I got it. I thought it was New Mexico. It might have been in Ariz. Air Force. Yeah, Albuquerque, New Mexico. But that's the state over. And this was 26 days after Nancy Guthrie. It's a long shot. Like I said, we can really go down the conspiracy theory realm. When it comes to this, we really could. My dad was on the 9/11 special assignment. Wow, Amy. So this kind of hits home. Was the house robbed? From everything, Ortiz, from everything that we've heard is that nothing was taken from this house. But the person was there for 41 minutes. How do we know? How do we know it's not a piece of paper? How do we know it's not a file? How do we know it's not something that her husband was working on, decades ago that, we just don't know what we're dealing with here because we haven't determined what we're dealing with when it comes to Nancy Guthrie. I mean, at the end of the day, Nancy Guthrie appears to, no matter how you look at it, none of us can explain how this lady got caught up in all of this, in all fairness. I mean, she's a grandmother. If you wanted to really make a powerful hit, you would think you would go after Savannah. But Savannah's around. Maybe that has to do, this may have a lot to do with Savannah or her husband. Yeah, her husband was high. Yeah, I know. And now we have, like, this lady's missing and we have this UFO guy missing to boot. I don't know how I feel about all this. And not only that, but Nancy's not the only elderly woman that just poof disappeared around this time frame. There's another elderly woman in, let's see. There's multiple, let's go to the AI mode. There's multiple women in Arizona that are missing. Hold on, let me see. So we've got Nancy. Let me see. How many elderly women have gone missing in Arizona since Nancy Guthrie's disappearance? I read about another one. So we have February 3rd. This is it. Caroline, right here, 69 years old. Caroline Legaspi Casper disappeared from Ash Fork, Arizona between February 3rd. She was last seen picking up her mail. Is believed to have left her resident on foot with a cane. Why would they believe that? Why would anybody believe a person would leave on foot with a cane? Have they ever done that before? We got Beverly DuBois, 89. She was reported missing in Pima County. She was safely located, though, March 4th. Donna Overton, 66, from Mesa, Arizona, January 25th, just prior to Guthrie, and remains an active missing person. So we've got 2 missing individuals in and around the time that Nancy disappeared. So maybe we need to be looking at those that information as well. You know, there's a lot here. And guys, we're going to be having another one. Let me go here. Hold on. Let me let's see. Hearing aids. Let's do an image. Give me just a second. We're going to make another we are going to make another thumbnail. There we go. I think we're going to do this one. We're going to do this one. Yeah, that looks good. We'll do that. And put that in B-roll. We're going to make a quick little thumbnail real quick. We're going to go ahead and set up our next show before we get out of here today. We still got a little more to talk about, but while we're talking about it, I'm going to be setting up the second show. And the reason why is because we might have another avenue of tracking. And so it is 8 o'clock right now. We're going to do our next show at 10 a.m. And it's going to be, but I want to drop the link in here so you guys can go over and sub up to it, because there might be another mechanism, folks. There might be another mechanism of finding her and locating her last known address. So give me just a second while we get this here. It probably is not going to be the prettiest because I don't have time to work on it. But we will try to get some of this stuff over on it. Give me just a second if you guys want to watch. Oh, no. Tell me I got it. Oh, because I put it in B-roll. Okay, that's right. Let me go over to B-roll. Aha. Okay, we're going to put this there. I think we're going to do a little... I think we're going to do a frames. Let's do frames. There we go. Okay. Do this frame here. Sorry, guys. We're almost done. Actually, I'll put it up here so you guys can see what I'm doing. How about that? We'll put it together. We'll put it together. You'll see what I'm actually doing. There you go. Oh, you guys can't see it. There we go. We'll play on this together. And we'll go to this side. Okay. There we go. So I'm preparing right now our next. I can't take this off, so I got to put it in an image. And then I'm going to take this and bring it on in. We got the hearing aids. Erase the. is down here. We're going to change this. I'm going to say tracking hearing aids. Make this a little bit bigger. I don't like the way that's looking. Let's take this, make it black and white. Black and white. Hearing aids, tracking hearing aids. That's where we're going to go. Tracking hearing aids. There we go. All right, tracking hearing aids. There we go. All right, it's going to be something like this. That's what I'm going to do right there. So I'm going to set this up before we get out of here. We're going to go over hearing aids. We're hearing that there is a possibility that she had hearing aids, 2 sets. They believe 1 set was left at the house. They believe that there is potentially a second set that she may have left with. And if that is the case, then they can be tracked. And if they can be tracked, we may not be able to track her specifically, that this is the breaking new clues, tracking hearing aids. Tracking Nancy Guthrie's hearing aids. And we're hearing that there might be an ability to have a last location, even if she's not with us anymore, in her phone somewhere in a very specific area of her phone if they look. So why did this not download? It didn't download, folks. Let me go back. I could have sworn we had it downloaded, but this is the second time I've downloaded something and it didn't download for me. Download. Okay, it's downloaded this time. Here's the link. Good gracious, where the hell is this thing downloading to? It's saying downloading. Good Lord. Okay. And we'll do that at 10. Okay, we're done. We finally got it linked up. Give me just a second and I'll put the link down here. But this is going to be an interesting conversation all by itself because we've had the pacemaker, we've got the signal sniffer. The signal sniffer has not been able to produce anything that we're aware of. And we weren't even supposed to know about the signal sniffer, but we do. And so now that we have another mechanism that could potentially locate her last known, now it sounds like 22 hours. These hearing aids battery can last for 22 hours. Here is the link for our show at 10. I'd like you guys to go sub up to that because this is going to be quite interesting. The possibility of finding out a last known location through hearing aids if she was wearing her hearing aids. Don't forget. Oh, Mama's card. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Which cards does Mama want? I didn't even see any. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't even see anybody. Oh, thank you. I love it. I'm sorry. I missed you. I missed you, Mama. Which ones do you want? You want these? This is Hope and Happiness. These are the ones that our beautiful Miss Sonia sent to us. Nice, good statements, church statements. So this is religious. This is religious. And then if you want to do something a little fun, we've got Inner Blessed Peace. So let me know what you would like for this. Thank you, Sonia, for keeping me. I've been doing really, really bad. I try really hard. Either let's do. I like the Hope and Happiness, but we haven't done it. We haven't done these. I think we did this the other day. Let's do these. These we haven't done in a while. So let me. I'm gonna have to get my glasses on. Thank you, Sonia. Let's go ahead and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we'll do these. These are good. These are good. These are uplifting. These are uplifting, religious. Thanks be to God for His indescribable gift. Corinthians. This is New King James Version. 2 Corinthians 9:15. Oh, give thanks to the God of heaven, for His mercy endures forever. Psalms 136:32. Oh, give thanks to the Lord, for He is good, for His mercy endures forever. I think that's the same one. Hold on, let me pull you another card. We had 2 cards for the same thing. One was from Psalms 107:1, and one's for 136:26. So he must have that sit in a couple places. So for to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. Romans 8:6. But I will sacrifice to you with the voice of thanksgiving. I will pay what I have vowed. Salvation is of the Lord. Jonah 2:9. And let the word of Christ dwell in you richly in all wisdom, teaching and admonishing one another in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, sing with grace in your heart to the Lord. Colossians 3:16. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That was uplifting. That was uplifting. Let me get these things back on. I can never get these sleeves back on. It's so hard. I try to keep these things together because I don't want to lose the cards. And these cards didn't come with the box. So, they're not going into the sleeve. Dad burn it. Dad burn it. All right. Thank you guys for participating. We really, really super appreciate it. Thank you. Good morning. Hearing aids were left on the nightstand just like the Apple Watch, but you're right. They believe that she had 2 pairs of hearing aids, and they believe that it's possible that maybe the other pair might have been attached. So again, this is just another avenue for lead. 2 pair of hearing aids. Yeah, that's what we're hearing. We're hearing she had 2 pairs and only one was left behind. So we will get into that discussion at 10 a.m. this morning. So guys, we've got about 2 hours to go get rested up, get energized. If you guys would like to come back, I've already set it up for you. There is the link right here. Click on that link, get a reminder, or set your alarm for 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or what that breaks down for you. What that breaks down for you. And we've got all these cards, so we always have cards, and we have inspirational cards, religious cards, get stuff done cards, encouragement cards. You feeling funky? We got cards for funkiness to pull you out of your funky junkie. And we just really try to uplift our audience every which way we can, whether it's with a smile, laugh, or a little inspiration. Good vibes. We try to radiate good vibes off this show in all this darkness, because it really takes good people to rise above all of this nastiness. We have a lot of crazy people out there that do horrible things to one another, and we want the bad guys behind bars, and we want to bring some type of dignity and justice to the victims of these heinous crimes. And this is a heinous crime. This lady did not do anything to deserve this. Nobody did. There is not one thing anybody in this world can do to justify being ripped out of your home, out of your own, the comfort and sanctity of your own private home and bed. This rips at the fabric of humanity. What kind of monster can do this? And that's where we come in, where we sit here and talk about these cases and go over these perspectives because, one, we want justice. That's number one. We want justice. We want these people brought back home safely, but most of the time we know that they're already gone. So we want justice. And we want to make sure that these people never have an opportunity to do this to another family or anybody ever again. And that's where we stand. So I hope you guys remember that these are all human beings that we discuss on this show, even the potential suspects. And right now, we've already had 3 people rise to the cream of the crop. We can't, we have to be speak about them and talk about the cases, but let's withhold accusations until we know what we're dealing with here. And I can tell you right now, there has not been a content creator or an audience member that has truly been able to definitively say what in the world we're dealing with here. And that's just the name of the game. We don't know. And until we do, come here, baby. Come on. Come. Here we go. And until we do, we're going to be here covering this case. Somebody did this to her, and I don't believe that nobody out there knows nothing. I think somebody has gotten wind of something. I think somebody has spoken to somebody. Somebody's had to call in a favor. There's somebody that knows something, and there is $1.2 million on the table for you. It doesn't matter what kind of life you've had in the past. This is we can get you out of that life and move you to a different state. You'll never have to worry about seeing these people again. We need people to step forward and to really come to the plate and tell us where Nancy Guthrie is. She deserves to be with her family. She deserves to have closure. Her family deserves closure. Somebody did this to this family. Was it Luke? Was it somebody Luke knew? Was it a third party we haven't even looked at yet? I guess we'll be finding out. But right now, I'm angry that we don't even have a car we're looking for. We're almost 40 days into this case, and we haven't even received a description of the car. Pima County needs to hand this over to the FBI. We all feel it. It's in our body, mind, and soul. How are we going to verbalize that and get the sheriff on board with turning this case over? I don't know. All right, guys. Well, it's time for Delilah's Social Hour. So I'll be back here at 10 a.m. We will see you guys soon. Rock it out with your coffee beans out until then.